Welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
Welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We're the Morning Throners. All four of us are here jacked up. One, because we're jacking off. We're jacked up really close to the end of the book. And solid Tyrion chapter here.
This is Tyrion's last chapter.
So we kind of wrap up his storyline for the first book, for the second. Who knows?
Maybe ever. Who knows?
Forever. Maybe they just forget about him. But
we kind of forgot that Tyrion was a character.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, but we start in a Lannister war council, and I'm trying to figure out if they were at the crossroads inn.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're at the crossroads.
Same inn. They've had two war councils here, wasn't there? Well, there was a Tyrion chapter where he was here with Tywin earlier.
Yeah,
right before the Green Folk. It was like
that's when he brought
Tyrion, then
the savages
this
in.
one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this is the war council,
and then
that
lady's still hanging out front. It's pretty fucked up.
So they haven't been gone that long, I guess.
I mean, she sounds pretty wasted away though.
And why'd they hang her? Just because? Fuck it.
Because it was her bar. Yeah. She probably didn't want him there.
You Riverland fuck. Yeah. And just
that's my guess.
Get fucked.
And she facilitated kind of the Tyrion thing. Like she didn't stop that, obviously.
Oh yeah. It was her bar with Tyrion.
Yeah, and I guess Tywin would know that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Makes sense. Oh, by the way, quick little sidebar. It's been a really rainy day in the town that I live in, but right now it's got like this purple sunset, and it looks really sweet right out my window.
So everybody look outside.
Just in time for the podcast.
Yeah, everybody take a look out the window. Check out that sunset.
So, quick reading check at the top of the hour. Quick reading check. Let's see who read the closest. Who's in this council chamber?
Come on. Nobody knows these names. Kevin Lannister.
Tywin Lannister. Tyrion Lannister.
Kevin.
Harris Swift.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just going to go hunt for more names.
No, you can't hunt. You can't look.
Oh, no. Who was the kid that his dad got killed in the river with the armor?
That's a good
Brax. That's something Brax.
Fleming Brax. I'll give it to him. Glow's killing it so far.
Let's go.
The Mountain,
that's a good one.
That's a good one,
that's
too.
one that I wanted one of you guys to get. The other two that I didn't know were Leo Lefford and Sir Adam Marbrand. But those ones, even Harry Swift, I'm surprised that Glow got Harry Swift too. But yeah, good. Glow wins the reading check today.
All right. Well, so we're pissed about something. Jamie's taken.
Courier comes in. Boom, boom, boom.
No, they were falling back. So they were retreating.
They were rushing west and southwest, I guess.
I think it was because they realized that the army was split. Is that true? Because it sounds like they were...
because the courier came and told them.
No, but they didn't find out that Jamie was captured until this inn, right? Or is that wrong?
But at the very end of the last chapter where with Tyrion at the end of that battle, right?
He finds out that Robb was captured.
Where's Robb? And they're like, not
attacking.
here. Like he split his forces or whatever.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're like, fuck. South. Go back to where we came, right? There's other people somewhere. We got to go help them.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they're going south. And Tyrion said people are like dying, or like they're going trying to go south fast to the point where people are like getting left behind and deserting and dying and stuff. Yeah.
And they wouldn't even have thought they're probably closer to the twins there, right? But they're like, fuck it, they're allies. We can't go that way, so they had to go far enough south to get west.
And
right,
the army was that way. Like, I mean, you wouldn't go towards the enemy if you're trying to retreat. And
yeah, you still had Roose, and then you would have had to go that way, and then still go to Robb's army.
Well, we find out later in this chapter that they're going to. I think they're initially going to fight Renly or get ready to fight Renly.
They're going to Harrenhal. Is their immediate plan.
Harrenhal, that's it. That's right. Yeah.
Cersei commands them to come back, but to be ready to fight them. But
first off, the chapter starts off with Tywin saying they have.
He has my son.
He doesn't yell. Tyrion says
he has my son.
Voice. Yeah, they're just like he's pissed, and he's obviously pissed about it. And Tyrion's thinking like, oh, they got one of your sons, and Tyrion's like always just making jokes to himself like the whole chapter in his head, but not really saying. Tyrion doesn't really say much.
He makes one. He said something like, "If I want you here for Japes."
Yeah, that's when they're alone. He only says like one or two things in the council, and they're both like pretty decent points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he even thinks to himself at one point that Tywin normally tries to stay silent and listen in council and then speak at the end. And Tyrion tries to do that when he can. But yeah, so it starts off with him saying that, and then basically it gets into a description of what happened at the end of the last Cap chapter that we didn't see up till now, as far as Riverrun's concerned.
Yeah, taking back Riverrun
Kyle,
from the
do you wanna-
Lannisters.
Well, so like I don't remember exactly, but I do remember enough. So like first off, one of the dudes there was pissed that they were separated into 3, right? He's like, why were they?
That was Swift.
Why are these guys such idiots separated into
The
3?
chinless Craven.
And and Kevin or Kevan, whatever the fuck. He was saying
Kevin. It's Kevin, and if I hear Caven one more fucking time,
Caveman. So he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, there's a moat they flood on one side and then a fork of rivers on the other 2. Like, you have to split into 3, which, I mean, we definitely went over that in the other chapter.
Mm-hmm. Glow, what is making you call this name Caven? It is literally spelled Kevin. Kevin.
Kavan.
French,
Kavan.
dude.
Kavan.
Kavan. Whatever, Kevin. What makes you say Kevin and not Kavan?
Kev. Just
I'm saying Kavan.
just the English
It would
alphabet.
be Kavan.
I'm going Kavan.
What's VAN spelled,
That's
Jeff?
Van.
Vin.
Van.
Kevin. That's what I'm saying.
You have an I in there.
You're saying Kevin.
I'm saying it too fast.
Kavan. But anyway.
Kavan.
So he's
Kavan.
like, we're skipping a bunch, I guess, if we go right into the battle. But like, the Blackfish showed up. Not a bunch, but like, he's talking about like the scouts are all getting disappeared. You know, everybody's getting murked.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody's coming back. Haven't seen anything. Like nobody was prepared for this at all when they showed up.
Do you remember who they thought it was without looking in the book? Jeff?
Mark Piper, motherfucker.
Hey,
Who right now,
Jeff.
bitches?
Good work. I was going to say Dundarian, but I knew that was wrong.
That's because you're not
that
right.
was later on.
Was it I like when the mountain, he just like, he comes back,
Cut
he
out-
didn't see
cut
him,
out
give
his
his eyes to
eyes.
the next guy, and then when he comes back, give all 4 of them to the next guy. He's up 6.
Just keep telling the next guy that this many eyes better help see better.
Then
This
you're
many
gonna,
plus 2 is going to help
I
the
mean,
next guy.
you just start lying at that point, right?
Or not coming back.
Yeah.
When we
I saw
get
a
to that,
fucking unicorn, or just peace out. I'm never seeing.
Or they're
you
all
again.
right there.
Yeah.
We better retreat.
when we get that point, Tywin's kind of looking at the mountain. Do you think and Tyrion doesn't know, is he happy about what he's saying or disgusted? What do you think?
Yeah, Tyrion. Yeah, he thinks that to himself. He can't tell how Tywin's thinking.
What's your opinion?
At first, I would like to think disgusted because Tywin seems like a pretty level-headed guy from what we've actually seen of his interactions so far. But he gives a command related to the mountain later on in this chapter, where he's literally just like
send him out,
the entire from coast to coast,
Literally
just fucking
burn them, rape them, do whatever you want. He's definitely happy as shit that the mountain's on his side. There's no doubt in my
Yeah,
mind.
100%.
I think he just knows, like, okay,
He's a tool.
as if he didn't. Yeah, and now he knows even more what that tool is good for.
Yeah,
Like,
he knows his
Here's what the
mentality.
Here's what I
Come
can use
on.
the mountain. Yeah, as if he didn't know that before. But
Rule
like,
by
knew.
fear, my friends.
He's
and also we
Yeah.
know probably more than Kyle. I mean, Kyle's seen the mountain be a dick a little bit, and then we've heard about the mountain's a dick a little bit. But just like hearing him actually, this is the first time I think he's ever spoken in the book,
Right.
probably, right? The mountain.
Right.
He might have said
Really the
something at
only-
the joust, but yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
I was gonna say he might have screamed at the joust, and that
And
was
the only
it.
thing he like says of like that is anything besides like a grunt or a roar is literally about like torturing people and like pretty much torturing people, ripping out eyes and giving them to other people. So yeah, kind of just like he knows the tool. But yeah, so go through the battle, I guess.
So then the Blackfish shows up, right?
He's first coming down from the north,
and he clears out all the palisades, which is like to slow down everybody. That's like the wood
At nighttime,
barricades.
so they didn't see him and all that shit.
And again, the map doesn't show it well, but the water is actually up against the castle walls on all 3 sides, and the dotted line is where they make the moat.
Yeah.
They basically draw the
so
moat
just
there.
2 sides then.
The river is running past on 2 sides, and both rivers are running from bottom left to top right in this picture. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then they make the moat on this third
They
side.
release the sluice gates, which lets all the water go through like a canal, or like they have a floodgate that they open and then they flood that other side.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they
so the
make
castle's probably smaller than that, so like it doesn't have to travel that far.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it, but they say it makes it makes the castle an island when they do that, and they've obviously done that.
But then they start pouring over the banks of the river. So like, does that mean that they?
So that's these people on the left here. That's where the guy who's telling the story was from. He was from the left,
On the left,
near the river road.
left?
Near the river road.
Oh, the one that goes over road.
The river road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, on the west side. There we go.
Exactly. The West Camp, which is how he describes it. Yeah. So Brandon Blackfish comes down from the north. People from the West Camp who are led by
the Brax dad.
Andros Brax.
Brax's dead dad.
Who drowned.
Yep. So gallant.
So they tried to get on rafts to fall back.
Were they falling back or were they trying to attack?
They were trying to help.
Yeah.
The people on the West Bank were trying to help people on the north.
Okay.
Thinking like, oh, they're coming, but they're not going to be able to get all the different sides at once. We got to go help them.
And then catapults. River Run's got some catapults going.
The river was stronger than they thought, so all these rafts are now flowing to the east, right? Because that's the way these rivers flow, and they're in range of all these river run catapults now. So they're either getting destroyed or anything that does make it across to the northern bank. Basically, by the time he says by the time they get there, the Starks have already won that fight, and they're just getting destroyed.
They're too late. Yeah, it's
they're just waiting for them.
Massacre. Yeah, exactly. And so that's what happened to Brax, right? So he was on one of those rafts, full armor, like ready to go, and he died a valiant death or whatever.
Gallant.
He was gallant.
Sansa would have loved it.
Tyrion's just fucking making fun of him.
What an idiot. Yeah. Like, why would you get on a raft with full armer? Is pretty much what
you would think
in the middle of nighttime.
I wonder how proud he felt when he was breathing water.
How wide are these breakups of the river?
Big.
They're not.
Pretty
They're
big.
Yeah. I was just curious. Like,
what do you mean by breakup?
obviously, it's
like 100
or like
yards,
where it forks. Like,
I'm thinking it's got to be like 100 close to 100 yards.
Right. It's not even. You could never like build a bridge across it, and if you wanted.
Well,
to.
we know there's no close fords here.
Right.
It's like River Run almost acts as a trident or twins in that way.
But they have to have something like the castle has to be able to get over them, right?
Yeah. I guess you're right.
So
River Road looks like it has a bridge or something.
Yeah, you're right. So they can't be that long. They can't be 100 yards if the.
Yeah,
if the
I was thinking like if you're trying to siege, because I know like once they get there, you build a bunch of your siege weapons, right?
Yeah.
If you get here, you try and like throw a bridge over or something like that. But
yeah, I don't even know. It's weird how I'm thinking how it looks in the show, and they describe it in the books as having water on all sides.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure.
But I mean, they even talk about like the castle letting its gate down eventually here. That's later, obviously. But like, and people getting right into the fight. So I feel like they have to be able to. Like, the river isn't that wide, maybe. Maybe it's just
that's also on the moat. That's also on the moat side.
That's
on the moat side. So maybe there isn't a bridge on either of the river sides and only on the moat side.
That seems also like poor defense. So if you don't have an escape route.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle.
Well, you can escape by river though, right? Like, yeah, sure, just take a boat or something like that, right?
Yeah, okay.
If you want to go east, you
look at this map. Yeah, you just launch a little boat, and if the river is really big, just hope you don't get hit by arrows.
Dump the whole castle, like everybody's got to get out ASAP, and you got one little. It's like the Titanic. You got like 10 little boats sitting there. I feel like there has to be a couple ways out.
It's good for like
so it doesn't.
Like sieges, like it's a good siege place because they have like a lot of water. They can fish. And they can probably still feed a lot of their people.
Yeah, you're just throwing the fishing rod as arrows are flying back.
Yeah, it would be fucking hard to. Waste all your arrows.
You can shoot arrows back, I guess, but then they run out of arrows.
Fish off the top of the wall.
So that's how the north side gets messed up. And basically, right as that is finishing up, then a bunch of other Stark people, including Robb himself, show up on the west bank where this guy was.
So how did they get there? That's what the whole point is.
There must have been
they had to cross somewhere.
Yeah, another ford over here to the west more, and then he just waited, sent a signal or something to say he wanted to attack.
It had to be pretty far away, or the Lannister men would use the same thing to try and get north.
This is the night of or the next night after the Whispering Wood. This is within a day of the Whispering Wood, which is when they captured Jaime. So it's not that far. So yeah, they don't really explain it, but somehow Robb gets men over here. Maybe he built a bunch of rafts further upriver where the river was narrower and crossed there. Who knows? That probably took a lot of time. I don't know how you do that in a day.
If he planned that before
like if he knew this was going to be his plan all along, he could do that before he even attacks Jaime in the Whispering Wood and just have it all set up. Who knows? We don't know what happened. We just know this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Rob shows up. I think they say Great John was with them.
And
Rob and the Wolf.
Great John Umber and
Malisters, of Seaguard and the Wolf. And this guy is kind of terrified of the Wolf.
Yeah, he said he like fucked up 4 guys and ripped apart like a dozen horses or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And Blackwood.
So basically the Starks are charging at the Lannisters, and Lannisters managed to hold off a charge like once or twice. Mm-hmm. But then the Tullys lowered their gates, and this is where Lord Titus Blackwood, who's a Riverlands lord, leads a charge from inside River Run out. Yeah, and they just pinch
sandwich.
Them.
Yeah,
exactly.
A crossfire.
So we know there's a gate there.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And then that's when he goes and captures all the other Riverland hostages, mainly, most importantly, Edmure Tully. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Which is Cat's brother, right?
Yep, Cat's brother.
Yep. And what's going on the High Heart side? They just bailed. They all bailed, right?
They ran.
They bail except for one, either group or one individual. They don't really say, who just leaves. That he's a sellsword. It's hard to tell if they're saying this guy commanded the Free Riders and this guy just left, or like he took, like he was him and his whole sellsword company were the Free Riders and they all left. I'm not sure.
Well, then some of them even
some of them joined up.
Joined the other side.
Yeah. Tyroshi. So the Tyroshis, we talked about them before, but I don't remember much about them.
Tyroshi is just another island across the narrow sea over here.
Was it like one of the sailors or something? Was Tyroshi?
Probably. Yeah, it's an island in the narrow sea.
You hear that from when they talk about like right across the narrow sea.
Yeah,
a bunch. Uncle Kevin's pissed that they even trusted the sellsword company at all.
He said he had previously warned them not to.
Yeah.
Like purposely told Jaime not to do this.
Sir Harris Swift is still just like, oh my God, how did this happen?
Yeah, and it's like pretty much everybody's like, yeah, we're pretty effed right now. Even Tywin knows that. So that pretty much wipes out the entirety of Jaime's army, which was, we were saying, what was that, like 20,000 people?
Pretty much, yeah. About the same size as Tywin's.
Jaime's was 20?
Equal to Tywin's, yeah.
Yeah, and so, I mean, they're all either dead, prisoner, or deserters at this point.
About a third of them should be okay somewhere, but like...
I don't even think it's a third.
I mean, they split the camp into 3 groups. Should be close to a third.
But he said some of them deserted. The third group
They lost the sellswords, but I don't know. I feel like they could find them. I mean, I don't know though. If they find them, like I feel like it'd be something where like later on they say we could go to Castle Rock and rally another
more
army.
People.
Maybe those people show up from there.
So then somebody's like pretty much like, we lost, man. Like we gotta hedge our bets here. We gotta ask for peace. Like this is quickly going south. And he's like,
Tyrion pulls a little bit of this is where Tyrion pulls a little bit of theatric.
Yeah.
He smashes his empty glass on the floor and he's like, "There's your peace." It's like you'll have easier time drinking wine out of that after they cut off Ned's than you will getting peace after they cut off Ned's head.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, especially since we're losing big time.
Yeah, like why would you ever give up at this point? Like he's succeeding. Everything he's doing is succeeding. So
Sir Adam Marbury's like, he's only won 2 battles. That's not a whole war. And Sir Lefford, who we heard like once in the previous chapter, he proposes a trade. He's like, what if we just trade hostages? And Tyrion's like, even if we offer
Jaime
3
Lannister
to 1,
for 2 little girls.
Well, Tyrion's like, not even thinking about Jaime. Like, even if we offer 3 to 1, like we don't have enough. They're just killing us in the hostage category right now. After the Whispering Wood, like we heard about these guys took some hostages after the Battle of the Green Fork, but Tyrion with this statement pretty much says that they're way losing that after the Whispering Wood.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, because Jaime probably went out with a lot of his better guys, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and then what Jeff said, like he's like, well, I hear they have these Rob sisters.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you really think that's still gonna work? Like, and
yeah,
little do they know,
for 2
he only
girls,
has one of them too.
He'd have to be an utter ass to trade 2 girls for Jaime, is what Adam Marburn says. And Lefford's like, we'll just pay. Okay, then we'll just have to pay him however much gold they want for Jaime. And Tyrion's like, if they want gold, they'll just melt down Jaime's armor. Does he say that out loud, or does he just think that? He says it out loud. I think
he says it out loud, yeah.
Yeah, he says it. He rolled his eyes. If the Starks feel the need for gold, they can melt down Jaime's armor.
So Adam is basically like, we got to attack them. And Harry's like, we have friends in the capital. Like, we basically still in the capital, so we can get more men from them. And we can go back to Castle Rock, as I was saying, and maybe raise a new army. But I think someone pointed out earlier they basically can't get back to Castle Rock the way everything's positioned right now. And I'll pull up a map that kind of shows that in a second.
Well, I think Tyrion or Tywin even says something like that. Like, they're in between us.
Well, this is where Tywin stands up. He doesn't say anything while everyone's in the room, except for they have my son at the beginning. Then here he stands up again. They have my son one more time. And then it says, in a voice that cut through the babble like a sword through suet. And then he tells everyone to leave except for Tyrion and Kevin. And then this is where Tywin like finally starts talking a little bit.
Goes into his battle plans.
Yeah. First, there's some stuff that he like just didn't tell everybody else.
Well, the first fucked up thing here is that he wasn't even drinking. Like, it doesn't he always like? Doesn't that mean something's wrong? I guess is what they're trying to say.
We don't really know that, but by the way, like Tyrion's reacting to it, like Tyrion's reacting like
Tyrion's like, whoa,
so
yeah, like, this is strange.
We don't know, but it must be weird.
Wine and all these things.
Yeah. Tyrion's acting like it's really weird.
Because he asked Kevin for wine, and then Tywin just gives him his because he didn't even drink any out of it.
And Tyrion's like really baffled by that.
Yeah, because Tyrion.
Do we know if Tywin's a big drinker?
Well, that's what we're saying. Is it feels like it based on Tyrion's reaction to this stuff.
Yeah,
it's like that's how he knows something's off, something's wrong, or not wrong, but like he's stressed. How's that?
Right. I know in the show, Nelson. Do you remember this? We're just talking about Tywin drinking. Like there was a time where, and we're past it in the books, and it's not a huge spoiler or anything, but Tyrion, I think it was before the battle, Tyrion's like, oh, let me drink wine, and he's like, no, water. But that was in the show.
That wasn't in the books.
Yeah, I don't know what it means. Because
so maybe he picks and chooses when he drinks, and
I don't know.
He's got a little bit more of a handle on it.
That still fits the maybe when serious shit's going down, he doesn't drink.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah.
Which
he's got a better control
his
over.
son just got taken, so he's got to really fucking keep a clear mind.
Yeah, where Tyrion's like, fuck it, I need to drink.
So after the wine thing, Tywin basically tells them, like, there's something I didn't tell it. Well, there's a few things he didn't tell everyone else. But mainly, there's a new king. Who we got?
Mm-hmm.
Renly
Baratheon of House Baratheon.
All right, Kyle, so let's get your take on the whole Baratheon brothers. Just basically everything we learned in this chapter. What do you think of it before we start talking about it and spewing potential spoilers into it?
Well, I mean, I know when Ned was like all that shit was going down, Renly was like you need to act on this, and then he was gone the next morning before anybody even was like awake, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, no, so, I'm peacing.
This was probably his plan all along to do something like this, try and raise an army to take back their.
Renly met with. Is this what you said? Renly met with Ned, right when they came back, and Robert was about to die.
Yeah, and he's like, "You need to take care of this now." Like,
he's like, "I got swords. I'll help you."
Yeah,
he's like, "You got to take over
immediately. Take over right now."
And he's like, "Nah, dude." In the next morning, gone. So this is pretty much the next we hear of him after that.
Yeah, but I think this was his plan or his backup plan for if Ned didn't want to do something all along was to try and rally some troops and. Because it seems like I guess he still has
some good alliances.
That thirst for.
So who's his wife?
Power, maybe.
He has
Highlander.
He has a queen already.
A Highlander.
Highgarden.
Shit.
That's where she's from. That's her house.
It's actually this girl that they had. Remember, Renly earlier had didn't he have a picture of this girl in like a locket?
Yeah, and he said she looked like Lyanna, right, or something.
Asked Ned if she looked like Lyanna because they were like potentially like going to try and hook Robert up with this girl, and. Now Renly's married this girl.
I think it was to Kyle's point where this was backup plan. I think even if he went with Ned, this was still in the plan.
Possibly.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, he would try to convince Ned to give him the kingdom because
absolutely
Ned wouldn't. He probably knows.
Ned would have been like, "Oh no, I'm Warden of the North."
Well, do we know anything about that family? I guess that he just married into, Kyle.
I don't.
They mentioned one other person, the Knight of Flowers. Is this that girl's brother?
Yeah, so
that girl's brother and sister?
That's the Sansa was all about him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
He gave her. He gave her the rose at.
He won the
tourney.
He won the tourney.
But he's like 16 or whatever. Yeah, he beat the mountain or.
he beat the mountain
horse.
And then the hound.
He beat the mountain, gave Sansa the flower, then the mountain chopped the horse's head off.
Yeah.
And
the hound saved him from the mountain.
Yeah,
correct. Sir Loras granted him the champion or something.
That's what happens in the show. I don't remember if that happens in the books. I don't know if it matters. I think it happens in the books. Loras says that the hound is the winner, even though the hound technically didn't beat anyone to win.
And then we hear some rumors about what's going on with the other Baratheon brother on Dragonstone.
Well, Tywin's kind of... This might be later on.
Who knows?
We might be kind of getting into that out of order, but Tywin's kind of perplexed by Stannis. Stannis has just been sitting on Dragonstone, but he says he thought that Stannis was like the most dangerous one the whole time.
But nobody's heard of him. Nobody, he hasn't.
It's all it is whispers from Varys.
He says he has a few whispers actually, but he doesn't know.
Yeah, but
doesn't know if anything's true.
He doesn't know what's true, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like, he has no confirmed information about him, and you would think that, like, if he was building an army or a fleet, like somebody would see that, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's the whispers of him building ships, hiring sellswords, bringing a shadow binder from Ashai. He's like, what does it all mean? Is any of it true?
Miri.
That's the quote in the book.
Does that mean Miri's a shadow binder?
Who?
Miri said she was from Ashai.
Yeah, and she had shadows in that tent.
That's true.
So you don't have to go any further.
Miri Mastor. There was one other thing, Nelson. I don't know if, like, talking about Joffrey, if he knew the news of Renly saying he was king too.
Yeah, so before that, I think this is before that. I think this was before that, actually. Tywin, he's like, if we still had Ned, or he's like, Tyrion, you're right. If we still had Ned, we could have made a truce with them. That bought us time to deal with the two Baratheon brothers, but not anymore. And Tyrion was like, well, Joff is young, and he's like, I made a few mistakes when I was young too. And Tywin's like, yeah, we should be lucky that he hasn't married a whore yet.
Tyrion just blood boils over.
But that's like a really fucked up thing. Yeah, and that's like a really fucked up thing that Tywin did to Tyrion in the past. And he just says it here like it's no big deal, and it really pisses Tyrion off.
Absolutely.
There's like 2 or 3 things that he says. This really pisses him off, and then later when he realizes that he thinks Jaime is gone,
he's just using him.
This is a super fucked up thing to say to somebody, like, especially
absolutely.
Like
and I'm sure like a lot of people in this part of the country or their part of the country knows the story, right?
And Kevin is in here.
The rumors of he let us off.
Yeah,
he told it at the night in the tent, right?
Yeah, I know about
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine all the guards people going back and be like, yeah, we fucked the imp's wife. We fucked the imp's wife. Like, everybody knows for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was probably part of it too. Like, he won. Maybe not. Tywin doesn't.
I mean, he's like half jabbing at him, half like jerking him off at the end of the chapter.
Yeah, and then that's
he just gives him a compliment at one point. Forget exactly what he says. I didn't understand the word, and I was like, I guess that's a compliment.
Game of Thrones word.
But I'm sorry. I'm trying to find where he said that to him.
It's before we even find out that Renly's king.
I suppose we ought to be grateful that he has not yet married a whore.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He did, yeah. Yeah, wondering how he'd look if he flung the wine in his face.
And later he talks about ripping the heart out of his chest, but that's when he disrespects Jaime. So then Tywin starts saying that Cersei had must have sent a letter commanding Tywin to return to the city to defend them from Renly. And he's a little peeved because she said command.
Because Joffrey was going to run out with the city watch if he found out and act like Big Dick Joff.
Big Dick Joff.
Kid got beat by Arya a year ago.
And that's when Tywin calls him. He says, I thought you were one made for Motley.
Oh, yeah. I thought.
But it appears I would be wrong, or I was wrong.
Motley's like the stuff that the mummers wear in the mummers parade.
No, like the Motley Crew. Motley Crew means like tough, like rough and tough dude.
Yeah, it's
good. It means like mummers clothes. I thought you were the one made for Motley. Like you were the jester, but it's probably it's like whoever's in ruling King's Landing, like your sister.
That makes more sense. The Motley Fool's stock picks.
Yeah, it's like the clothes that the mummers wear. So he's literally like, I thought like you're the dwarf. You're the one that's born to be.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I got you now.
So this is when they get into Stannis, kind of what they were saying earlier. And then this is when Tywin's like, go get a map. So
Tyrion makes another jape, at least Rhaegar Targaryen is dead.
Yeah, because everything is going wrong for him, it sounds like. He's like, well, the one good thing you got going for you.
Dondarrion had. Oh, that's just where you think he is. That's not the amount of people, right?
Yeah, we don't really know. Somewhere in there.
Roaming around those parts.
Say he's got the biggest army here. He should claim himself.
So the end of the crossroads is where they are now.
So they're just. I guess there's a little bridge there that you can cross, right?
Yeah. At least, I think that the end of the crossroads is technically in Lord Harroway's town, but because it's like a significant spot where they show up to, again, they draw it bigger.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So he pretty much just explains what's on this map. You got Roose Bolton to the north, Rob to the west at River Run, cutting us off from Castle Rock if we wanted to go there. You got the Arryns to the east, and you got Stannis out here on Dragonstone. So Dragonstone's out here on the east in the sea. It's colored yellow.
Yep.
And then down in the south here in green is Storm's End, is this castle in the very bottom right of this picture. And then Highgarden isn't even on this picture, but it would be off to the south, kind of where this river that's flowing meets the sea on the west coast. But that pretty much the Lannisters are the three red dots that are kind of all spread out, surround it, and they're not even really talking about Castle Rock. They're just mainly talking about themselves in this one. They're kind of surrounded.
Well, they're not even armies at that point.
Yeah, the two are just the locations that they hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're talking about how they're surrounded, and then Tywin basically says, the plan is we're going to go to Harrenhal, which, I mean, looking at this picture, no shit, you're going to go to Harrenhal.
Like, where else are you going to go?
It's like, they're probably...
I would go to Rook's Roost or Rook's Rest.
Maidenpool, maybe. They're probably just not like, yeah, genius, Tywin, you're a fucking legend.
But I think it does take him by... It does kind of take him by shock, just because it's the haunted place aspect of it, and
well, also
like, does anyone actually live there?
Also, they're not. Yeah, this is another question. Like, how they just kind of roll into this castle and like take it over? Like, theoretically, people should like currently live there.
First off, didn't they take it on the way through?
They might have.
And then they gave it to that other.
They gave to the Janus Slant. This watch.
But Tywin has a few words to say about that later in this chapter.
No, you already said it. We're past that.
He says he's never stepped foot in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, get fucked.
Why would you give it to this guy? Why would you get rid of
all those Japanapes on the council?
Barristan, like why would you do all this stuff? Like he fucked up a whole bunch of things in like a short period of time.
Yeah. They all did. The council in general fucked up everything
I got
in a
that
short period
quote.
of time.
It's
it's a little later, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's towards the end. I was talking about just when they announced it, but so what else is Sir Gregor's going first? Is that where we're at? Get some more names here too. Vargo Hoat.
Sir Gregor is going out with Vargo Hoat, and Tywin wanted to send the Mountain Clans with him, and that's when.
And Sir Amory Lorch. Three groups.
Lorch, does he say?
Gregor Clegane, Vargo Hoat, and Sir Amory Lorch. They each get 300 horses, and they're just gonna burn everything from the God's Eye to the Red Fork. And
steal people, steal goods, steal whatever you want. He literally said steal people. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. And he says, like, if you want the savages to go with Vargo, I know they probably like doing all that stuff. And Tyrion's like, telling those cats how to pillage is like telling a rooster how to crow, okay? But they're sticking with me because I like them. And he's thinking to himself, like, they're more loyal. They're more my men than like any men you would give me. Yeah, exactly. Anybody else that would protect me is like from you. So I'll keep these guys.
And this is when we dropped a big old bomb. Play Jimi Hendrix, dropped a bomb on me.
He's going to King's Landing to rule.
He's heading to court.
And Cersei can't do shit about it.
Yeah. Imagine that reaction, Kyle.
She's probably pissed.
Just picture that in your head right now, Cersei.
Yeah, I don't think she'd be about that town for sure. I mean, him showing up and saying I'm in charge now. I don't know how that's gonna go over.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dad sent me.
Dad said I'm in charge today.
He wonders if this is anything like the battle where he's being sent to hold the left, and it's like looks like it's gonna be like a good position, but
it's a trap.
It's a trap, big trap. and I don't know, we didn't really talk about it too much when he's asked why me, why no one else, and Tywin says, "You're my son." Tyrion gets pissed off that he's like, "You have given up."
It's probably the first time he's ever said that to his face.
You've definitely given up Jaime for dead, and
Yeah,
Tyrion is pissed about that. He like actually Tyrion wants to like rip. Like, yeah, it's kind of like
he wants to kill him here.
You'd almost think he'd be happy because, like Jeff said, it's probably one of the first times he's ever heard this because his dad doesn't really seem to like him that much. But instead,
he's like a 24-year-old. How old is he? How old's Tyrion supposed to be? Do you have any idea?
I think 24 sounds right.
Yeah, he's right that.
24 years of just being shit on by your dad. Like one time him calling you his son is not going to be fucking. Oh,
but it's at the time father. When you realize he thinks your brother's going to die and you actually care about your brother.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
Absolutely.
So
I think he.
The only way he could win his dad's approval, and I mean, I believe he thought that probably his whole life, though, that he knew, like.
Yeah, that's true.
Messed up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's messed up. Don't get me wrong, but.
So then Tywin gives him one last command before Tywin walks out.
Don't bring the whore.
Tyrion looks at the dead girl's body, goes upstairs, grabs a titty, and's like, "I might bring you to court."
Grabs a little.
I'm bringing you to court, bitch.
I think you're coming to court with me.
End scene.
End scene. I have a mind to take you to King's Landing, sweetling.
What do you think, Kyle?
I think this is all obvious. So we're reading from the quote unquote bad guy side right now, but it's obviously all going very poorly for them, and like they're kind of stuck here. I kind of said something before, like it can't all go Lannister way, and now here it is, kind of all going the Stark's way. So.
Can't go all the Stark's way, right?
Yeah,
well, I mean, I really truly believe that, though. Like,
I mean, Big Dog Ned did just get his head cut off like less than a few chapters ago. So.
Yeah, that's what he's not.
Arya was running around flea bomb and Sansa's just getting bullied and beaten.
They think that Cersei has both daughters.
They obviously do, yeah.
Arya's not free yet, but she's like close to free, right?
Maybe she just got grabbed up at the end of the last chapter.
Yeah.
Boy.
Still in the city last we heard, so not in the clutches of Cersei, but out of the clutches of Cersei.
You're a stupid boy. Cersei didn't want to drop that bomb to Tywin yet.
Yeah, because
we actually have one daughter, and we killed the most important Stark.
So what are the King's Landing? Yeah, they've been fucking everything up. I think they kind of were the downfall here of like they definitely ruined a lot of escape routes. Talking about that again, backup plans.
Mm-hmm.
What are want to make some major predictions for what's next?
Yeah, Cal, give us some major predictions.
I mean, there's going to be a big fight at Harrenhal. How about that? And it's going to go more Lannister. Like the Lannisters going to be able to escape. How's that? I don't think Tywin's going to die in that.
Where do they escape to? Castle Rock or King's Landing?
Rook's Rest,
elsewhere.
Manpool,
Rook's Rest.
Salt Pass.
I'd go to Rook's Rest. I think maybe Tarth.
They're gonna take over
back north.
Yeah, they're going the wrong way. I honestly don't know. Like I think it's 50-50, but they're probably gonna go to King's Landing. Or no, they'll go back to Castle Rock because that's Tywin's house, you know.
Back to the Rock.
What about Tyrion specifically?
I mean, that's obviously not going to go well. I think he's going to be fought by Cersei the entire time, essentially, and it's just not.
We haven't done this. Well. We haven't done this for any other character, so I feel like we should just do like a final episode when the whole book's over for like each character, where we go over talk about each character specifically or whatever. But if so, just ignore this question and just tell me to shut up. We'll do it later. But this is the last Tyrion chapter. How does he stack up to? We've had a lot of the other all the characters except for the three I just said are already all done. I feel like Tyrion in the first book has like the widest variety. Like he literally goes from first chapter is when he's going to literally going to the wall, has a chapter or two at the wall, gets kidnapped, goes to the Eyrie, comes back, fights in a battle. I feel like Tyrion in the first book at least, he's like the furthest like all over the place character.
He's got the most miles traveled for sure.
Which I think makes it like part of his makes him more interesting than other characters just by that nature of it.
Well, yeah,
Not to mention
think about
his character himself.
This is
You think he's traveled more than Daenerys?
The distance covered,
not.
I don't know, but like she's seen mostly the same shit, just like fields, right?
Yeah,
like,
she's seen
100%.
Yeah.
He's seen a bunch.
And this is why I always said, like, you get to Sansa chapters when it's like, oh pretty boy, my sewing's so pretty, for like the first 4 chapters of her book. And Tyrion's doing all this cool shit. Like, there's so much more cool shit going on, and then you have Sansa like talking about boys. It just doesn't compare. And Catelyn's just complaining.
We'll have to come up with some questions for Kyle for our end of book
podcast.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Are we having a end of book podcast?
I think we should. Just to do stuff like that. Yeah.
Kyle, right now you've got Robb Stark, you've got Renly Baratheon, Stannis Baratheon, Joffrey Baratheon. Who's gonna win?
I don't know if Robb wants King's Landing.
They're all going to be in a war. They're all in a war for something right now.
I thought they were kind of all on the same side as the way I was looking at it.
Everyone versus Lannisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Robb's too worried about King's Landing, honestly. I think he
just
doesn't
wants
like
revenge.
the Lannisters, but he doesn't seem like he had ambitions to be king.
Have we had a chapter with them since Ned? With Robb and Cat since Ned?
No, I guess that's the next one.
Not since they knew.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what important.
Wait, when's the next Cat chapter?
Next, I
Next,
think.
I think.
It's either that
No,
or
John's
John.
next. John, then Cat.
John, Cat, Danny.
Baby,
All right.
baby.
We're almost there, guys. Let's just knock them out tonight. Everyone just start
Seriously.
Yeah, and I wonder, I guess you bring up a good point there with the brother. Like, I don't know their relationship they have with each other even. So that kind of does add a new layer to that. I thought they were, like I said, kind of all on the same side to some degree. I don't
I don't want to poke you, but what else do we know about Stannis?
Well, he's technically next in line. Like, he would
If-
technically.
So if I go and click on his note, we've heard his name a lot in these books.
Well, he pieced out to Dragonstone before Ned even got there. Because he was like...
Big battle commander guy.
But we hear about him a lot in a lot of Ned chapters anyway.
John
Honorable
Aaron.
He was
guy.
chilling with John
He
Aaron.
met
a lot.
with John Aaron and shit about the bastard. He like showed him the bastard.
Yeah, they were like together in the brothel. They were together in like
Oh,
a lot
that's
of
right,
like
okay.
weird spots. Yeah,
So he's the one of the other ones that knows.
Mhm.
potentially. Yeah.
All right, and that's all we got.
I think that's
See you
all
later,
we got
Kyle.
for this. Kyle, we'll see you on the next episode for John 9.
Unless you have any more revelations to drop on us, we're not letting you in the spoiler section anymore.
I'm good. I don't need it in that section.
All right.
Fuck that place. That place is messed up.
Bye, Kyle.
See you guys.
See you later, Kyle.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
See you later, Kyle. It was great hanging out, bud. We'll see you on the next episode for John 9.
Bye,
And now,
Kyle.
on to the spoiler section for Tyrion 9. Boys, what are your hot takes?
Whoa, another break there?
Just happened to be good timing. Not much.
I don't have much for sure. Just some shit that I wanted to talk about with you two.
Yeah, I have two. Basically, just two questions. When Umber was coming west, how was he coming west? Did he cross further down the river?
We
We don't know.
They don't
Loop
really
around?
explain it. They don't really explain it. Somehow him and Robb Stark both did that. We get a bunch of name drops people for the first time that we can talk about if we want to. Vargo Hope.
What's his fucking name?
Vargo
Vargo
Hope.
Hope.
He chops off Jamie's hand, right?
Yeah, he has a lisp.
He's Locke in the show.
Kind of.
I think that's his
They
name.
both chop off Jamie's hand. But
They're
Locke
both
is a
there?
But Locke is a Bolton.
Okay. Who goes north of the wall? Does either of them?
Locke does in the show, but Vargo definitely does not in the book. That's what I'm
I
saying.
forget
They're
what
not the
happens
same
to
character.
Vargo. Yeah. What
Locke
happens
is just like some guy who works for the Boltons. Vargo is a
Right.
sellsword.
But he's working
He
for the
gets
Lannisters
the
right now?
The Mountain cuts them up piece by piece. Because that's what Vargo does. He would cut off the limbs of people. So the Mountain does that to him. And then he makes
Why?
it himself.
What did he do to deserve that?
He used to have Harrenhal before Mountain took it, I think, is all that really happened. And he betrayed the Lannisters and betrayed the Starks. And he just was flipping sides, so just being a sellsword.
Gotcha.
He did a bunch of fucked ups. He was an absolutely horrible dude. But
Yeah. But he'll chop off Jamie's hand. And who's the other guy? Amory.
Amory Lorch. He's the one who's also.
This is who I thought you guys were talking about.
That's Vargo Hoat. This guy, Amory Lorch, is the one who's also.
We said Locke.
Rumored. Locke is the guy from the show who does what Vargo Hoat does in the books. Some of what Vargo Hoat does in the books. Amory Lorch is rumored to have had a hand in what the Mountain did during the Second King's Landing to Rhaegar's wife and children. And the Lannisters often in the future will try and blame it on him who dies. He dies in these books. Who knows how? Or should I not tell you so doesn't spoil it for you?
Amory
Lorch.
He dies on the Blackwater.
Pretty sure he gets eaten by a bear at Harrenhal. By Vargo Hoat, potentially. Not sure.
He throws him in the
the Lannisters they try and be like, hey, Dornish people, the Mountain had nothing to do with it. It was all Amory Lorch. And look, he already got eaten by a bear. That's justice. To basically just keep the Mountain alive.
Right.
That's pretty much why Amory's important.
So take me through when the Mountain takes the babies and smashes them, and then Ned comes in. What's the timeline for that?
I don't know. That all happens. Yeah, when the
obviously
the
Ned
Lannisters sacked King's Landing.
Okay, they got there first, right?
Yeah,
right,
or Jamie was sitting on the fucking.
Yeah, but Jamie was already there, so.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Tywin wasn't in the fight, and he kind of did the water fray deal and went to King's Landing, killed it.
Yeah, outside they're outside. They're sacking King's Landing is when Jamie does what he does.
Right.
Yeah, that's when all that shit happens.
Gotcha. And then Ned rolls up and sees the dead bodies.
Then Robert rolls up and they present the dead bodies to him, I think. Right. And Ned sees that.
And Rob loves it.
Smiles, maybe. Yeah, something like that.
All right. My first note for this one. Do you have more names that you want to drop? Harris Swift or anything?
There's a few we can get into, but go ahead. What's your thing? I only have two.
We kind of hit on it in the first part, and we definitely could hit. Tyrion hates his fucking dad. There's 100%. No doubt about it.
There's good reason.
I don't think there's. I mean, maybe there's that little sense that you always want to fight for the approval of your pop, but he does. I don't know if he does. He fucking hates that guy.
With good reason.
Absolutely. But like I said, even the people you have maybe not the best, you still want to make him proud type shit. I don't even think he does. He obviously just was told you can't take the whore back with you, and he's that's the first thing I'm doing. You're coming with me.
Maybe not his dad directly, but I think he does feel some obligation or something to his family, to
the
name.
Right?
I don't think he gives a fuck about the name.
I think he knows that everyone in his family is pretty fucked up, but he's still. I think that there's parts in this where he feels like he needs to do what he has to do for his family, even if they are a bunch of scumbags.
I feel like he cares about Jamie.
I agree with that.
I think he cares about Jamie
and Tommen, and that's
but he does stuff that doesn't directly benefit any of those three people and just says under the rule of the family. He makes Lannister moves for the Lannisters a lot.
Yeah, he does Lannister stuff.
I don't think sending Marcella to Dorne is a non-Lannister deal.
Yeah, he's trying to fucking get in Dorne's good graces and get them on his side.
Do you think that was the fucker? Or not fuck her, to fuck her over? Fuck Cersei over? No. I mean, I'm sure. I know she wasn't happy,
it was probably a benefit of it, but I think it was a good.
I think it's almost hey, let's get Marcella away from Cersei.
Make her
and
good.
Making deals with the Dornish. I mean, it's hard to tell because that is what comes out of his whole 3 fake deals.
Yeah, he finds out.
Do you think? Do you truly think that any deal?
Fucking with shit?
No, that had to be the only one that he was ever actually going to go through with.
Right. What were the other two? Highgarden.
One had to do with Robin Aaron.
Robin, yeah, that definitely was a no.
And one had to do with Theon.
It was, maybe? Yeah. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the Dornish is kind of crazy too.
Yeah, I mean, but the Dornish are just kind of out of it, and they're a house that can help you.
And they're also just plotting on their own.
It's the same with the Greyjoys.
They hate the Lannisters though.
They're less out of it though. They're less out of the show. They're outside of the book so far. The Greyjoys, just slightly. And there's a bunch of Theon chapters next book.
Yeah, Theon becomes a bigger character in the next book.
So that was my first one. Anybody got anything else? I got two more things.
Just one that I thought was kind of weird and stuck out to me when they're talking about Lord Andros Brax, who drowns at the River Run, the breaking of the River Run siege. He wondered if Lord Brax had felt especially gallant as the weight of his steel pulled him under the black water. And then Tyrion at the end of his this chapter for Tyrion, next book, he's fighting during the Battle of the Blackwater.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything particular to the Braxes.
I think it's just because it's nighttime. Is it night?
It's just the black water. It's dark.
For sure. It just is weird.
I mean, it is. It just stuck out to me. In the end of the next book, he's fighting at the Blackwater Bay.
Yeah, it just stuck out. It just stuck out to me.
Yeah, no, I didn't even pick up on that.
If it wasn't a Tyrion chapter, I probably wouldn't think anything of it.
Another just kind of like basic ass note I have is that I think River Run's a dope castle.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it's cool as shit how it's.
And Kyle's like talking about like how you need a backdoor exit. Yeah, I mean there's a backdoor exit. I mean I think that's borderline. Does that happen in the book? No, I'm sorry.
I don't. In the book? In the show,
Jamie gets into River Run, but
Brienne leaves in the show in a little bit.
Does Brienne even go into the books? I don't even think Brienne goes in there.
I don't know.
No, she doesn't. She shows up after that.
Does somebody escape when Jamie sieges River Run? I don't know.
The Blackfish I think the Blackfish escapes that way.
Yeah, he probably does.
He doesn't die in the hallway?
No.
I was so mad I just watched that episode and they don't even like show him fighting. Like, show me like him cut down like 9 guys before he dies.
That's an old ass actor.
Come on. You could put a gray wig on a guy.
They make Barristan do some deals.
Yeah. Come on. Let him go out swinging.
Yeah, I mean, think about Barristan and Grey Worm in the hallway.
Where Barristan dies?
Yeah. Give me like 9 guys that the Blackfish cuts down and...
I hope Barristan lives in the books.
There's Windswear chapters with him.
Yeah, but you even said, the ominous feeling he's probably going to die.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I started reading the first one, the Elaine, and there was like 8 names that I didn't recognize. So I was like, fuck this, I'm not reading this.
That's how Kyle feels every time we read this shit, every day we podcast. All right, Glow, do you have any more points?
So the one thing when Tywin's like, what the fuck is Stannis doing? All of Varys's whispers are pretty much true, right? He's building ships. Sure. He's got a shadow binder from Rashad, and I forget the other 2 points.
He's like buying ships. I think the sell swords in a ship. He buys sell sails. That's Salador Sand, right. Pretty much.
Yeah, Salador Sand.
So it's kind of like a combination of the first 2, and then the shadow binder's like, I don't know if that's, I wouldn't really call Melisandre shadow binder, but close enough. She fucking gives birth to shadow babies that kill people.
Shadow.
So yeah, she's a shadow binder for sure. Yeah.
Stannis has to have
Mary's coming over.
What was that?
That's what Kyle said. He said he thinks Mary's coming over.
Little does he know, she's about to get burned to a crisp.
Yeah.
Stannis has to have the littlest army right now. Like, he doesn't have an army.
He's got Storm's End, right?
No, he's at Dragonstone. Dragonstone is like
army, right? Like,
no, everyone that should be sworn to the Baratheons is about to fall in the Renly camp. Is pretty much what happens here.
Because of Storm's End, right? They're
just because they have the Tyrells. Yeah, Renly has Storm's End, so he's been their liege lord for the past 16 years since Robert took the kingdom.
Right. Stannis has like
took the kingdom. Exactly. When Robert took the kingdom, he gave when Robert
as
took
like
the kingdom,
a liege lord. I was saying, right?
I don't know what the liege.
You would think that's kind of their area.
When Robert took the kingdom, he gave
Renly.
Stannis held during that battle, right? During the fucking Robert's Rebellion, Storm's End. Who's at Storm's End?
Renly.
The Tyrells.
Stannis.
Oh no,
some
I was
bad
saying
going
like
down, right?
Yeah, he's about to get sieged. He's being sieged.
Whoever said Tyrells is correct. Stannis is being sieged by the Tyrells. You were wrong, but you were. They were sieging Stannis. It's not you. I meant who was in the
at
castle.
Storm's
They're
End.
outside.
I was saying who was outside, not inside.
I got you.
And this is when Sir the Onion Knight gets his fucking name because he brings in food
so he's
through the siege lines.
He's a new POV next chapter, so we're gonna learn all about this real soon next book.
I forgot about him.
But
that is happening. That's happening
when
King's Landing. That's happening when King's Landing is being sacked. Then Ned goes from King's Landing to break that siege. Basically tells Tyrells, yo, it's over, stop it. And then they stop it, and Stannis is allowed to have food and stuff again. Right? Then Robert says, Stannis, you're the tested battle commander. I need you to go get what's left of the Targaryens out of Dragonstone.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes. Dany, Viserys dip out of there with Sir William Derry. And Robert's like, Stannis, stay there and hold there. That's your new castle. I give that to you. Renly, you got Storm's End now. Mm-hmm. Stannis always took that as a slight because he thinks that the Baratheon, it's like if you gave Bran Winterfell and Robb Whitehall.
Moat Caitlin.
Yeah, just go hold that and
Bran. Me and you talked about this the other day. That was when I was watching the show.
So that's like kind of that's part of why Stannis is just pissed at Robert and Renly from the get-go before any of this.
Yeah, I feel like Stannis feels the same, maybe not the same way. He pretty much does, like the same way about Robb as Tyrion does Tywin. Like they don't like that person.
Robert. I don't think Stannis hates Robert or hated him.
He never loved him like a brother.
Yeah, Stannis is weird like that, but I don't think he hated him. Just disliked, maybe.
I mean, you also got to remember Robert deflowered. He made Edric Storm in Stannis' wedding bed the night of Stannis' wedding, during Stannis' wedding with like the cousin of the bride.
Yeah,
Stannis' wife. So
I didn't remember that, but
Robert did a bunch of fucked up shit to Stannis. There's a bunch of reasons for him to hate.
I mean, let's be serious. Like the whole bedding ceremony, like they all just watch you fuck your new wife. It's just the weirdest thing ever.
I don't think they watched. They just forced it upon it. Are they cheering you on? Like, let's go!
You need proof.
30 seconds world record.
They want proof that you consummate the wedding.
Started. Yeah. They make sure that you at least started. I don't think they hang around for the whole thing. I mean, I guess depending on the age of might not last that long, but maybe they stick around for the whole thing sometimes. But I think normally they watch most of it.
Yeah, no.
Or at least the beginning.
It's a weird thing.
At least the beginning.
So the only real note I had of importance was they brought up Selmy, and Tywin acknowledges how stupid it was to let Selmy go. And I know we talked about that 2 chapters ago, I think, or last chapter.
It's interesting because Jeff's been going through. You've been rewatching the show recently.
Correct. I just watched Battle of the Bastards, which is just awesome.
So you're past books. You're to the point where anything you text me, I'm not really going to give a fuck about. But
you should. Why wouldn't you?
Because past the books, I don't give a fuck.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
We don't know how it's going to happen. Not like that though.
But the point was, because I've been reading, because Jeff's been watching the show, I'm always listening to the audiobooks. And I was listening to a little bit into Clash, a couple weeks ago, where Tyrion gets to court. He's talking to Cersei. And basically, the first time he starts talking to Cersei, everyone else leaves the council room. And he's like, basically everything Tywin says here is what Tyrion says in that meeting. He's like, who did the Janos Slynt thing? Who did the Barristan thing? And then based on the answers, Tyrion starts making, doing actions, right? He does the little thing, does
Janos
to the wall. Exactly. But it's it seems like he's doing what Tywin would do, or at least what he thinks Tywin would do.
He's not stupid.
Do you think Tywin was happy with the way Tyrion was performing?
I do.
In this council room?
As Hand of the King.
So that's the other thing I'm glad you guys didn't say. He's not Hand. He never says Hand.
Or whatever. Step in Hand.
But that's what he's going. He said he's going to rule.
He just says go rule, but he never tells him he's Hand in the books.
Even in the parchment that he gives Cersei?
I'm not sure. We'll find out. But at this point, it would make it a lot harder. If it doesn't say Hand, it makes it a lot harder for Tyrion to just walk in and have authority, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
He needs to.
If he's just fucking master of whorehouses, it's not really going to have any power.
It has to say
pretty much he says he hates the council. He hates Baelish, Grand Maester, and Varys.
If they lie.
Yeah. So I mean, we know that Grand Maester's headed to a black cell at some point.
Beard cut off. Yeah.
Talks about Genos Slint and Harrenhal.
That's because he tells on him to Cersei, though.
Right, about Marcella.
Yeah, but Tywin says if they lie to us, I mean, Cersei's part of us.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not chopping off Cersei's head.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
And then sell me. That's basically it.
So my last thing was the Rhaegar joke. And Tyrion's like, at least Rhaegar's dead.
Oh, maybe he's still alive.
That's a good one.
I mean, there's like a few. We've heard about this like a few times, like this book,
Yeah.
right? Like even like when
I've tried to bring it up like every time a Ruby's been mentioned.
even without rubies, there was a chapter where Bran was when Winterfell first hears about like Ned being thrown in the dungeon, I think, and Brandon's like it's a Bran chapter, and he's like what's happening now? He's like, we don't know. We just heard like a bunch of different stories. There's stories that Ned killed Robert, and there's stories that a boar killed Robert, and there's stories that like blah blah blah. And there's even stories that Rhaegar came back from the dead and is alive on Dragonstone and is going to take back the crown. There was like a story about Rhaegar being alive, but it's happened multiple times. This book that they've mentioned Rhaegar being alive, which is kind of weird. I mean, this one isn't.
I don't think
Rhaegar
it's
being alive, but
if Rhaegar is still dead.
He has to be dead.
These foreshadowings are fine. Like, I don't care. Like, that's not foreshadowing. That's just like what people would say.
It's just funny. But then if he ends up being alive, it's like, oh, you're so dumb. Why didn't you know he was alive? It's scattered all over. Yeah.
All right, and then I had one last note. Do you think Tywin told him to leave the whore behind because he was already banging her?
Yeah, so that's another thing. Is like, is Shay already Tywin's? And I was thinking about this. Even before...
You think Tywin was banging Shay?
I'm saying no.
Now, maybe even before Tyrion had her the first time.
No, I never even thought about that.
Why not?
I don't know.
Tyrion just tells Bronn to go get her from a High Lord. What if Bronn goes right to Tywin's like,
you think Bronn's fucking over Tyrion too?
Bronn is way less like friendly.
Bronn, there's no way he's going to Tyrion or Tywin and saying, yeah, let me get a whore from you. There's no chance.
No, he's obviously not a hiring to Tywin, but like, what if off that first meeting, because Bronn's only met Tywin one time at that point, right? They just brought him in and like with Shagga and everything when they first meet Tywin the first time, and then they go back and Tyrion's like, go get me a whore, or Tyrion would have said, go get me a whore, maybe even before that. I don't even know. Anyway, Bronn would have had to go to Tywin and be like, yo, your son wants a whore. What should I do? Or maybe like, yeah, what if Tywin just pulls Bronn aside at any point and is like, yo, you're mine, not my son's. I'm paying you quadruple. I don't give a fuck.
Do you think Shay was an informant
that could just
to
happen
Tywin?
at any point? She obviously was at the end of her plot line. The question is, when does that start? The real question is, when does that start? And Glow's getting at, this is a logical starting point. Is if you think about it, it could have been all along. It could have been all along.
But also, it's... At one point, isn't she actually like heartbroken when Tyrion?
She's like way less lovey-dovey in the books. Period. Like she's way more like, obviously she's like, yeah, sucking his dick and fucking him and stuff, but she is way more like fulfilling the duties of a whore rather than a relationship in the books.
I mean, I just watched again. I'm watching it, so like
I'm
thinking of Shay like loving him. I always thought that Shay was a Cersei. Cersei found her and was like, hey, come back. Like, let's fuck over.
The whole point of Shay is like that Tyrion gets blinded into what you see in the show when it's not what you see in the show. It's kind of like the whole point of Shay's character. Mm-hmm. Is Tyrion like falls for girls and is always like tries to protect. He does the same thing with like Sansa. He's like was protecting like the damsel in distress, right? And he's like trying to like fall in love with them. Yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, that was something like not even close to my radar. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, man, maybe Tywin hates Tyrion too.
Tywin definitely hates Tyrion, 100%. They both hate each other.
The thing is, like, and it's so hard to tell because we've only had like 1 or 2 chapters with Shay. I think probably 1.
Yeah, we've only had 1. Like, we had her getting her nipple played with this chapter.
If Tywin doesn't tell Tyrion not to bring her, does Tyrion really?
He's still bringing her. He's still bringing her.
She's just
maybe not.
He's just a Ford. He's been fucking for the past week on the road.
Yeah, all right, but
like, we don't really know how attached he is to her at this point.
Yeah,
but him I feel like Tywin saying "don't bring her" is like solidifying.
Maybe
going.
Tywin's even thinking like, "Yo, if I say
obviously Tywin knows this." And again, if it's kind of like if it's what Glow's saying, right? And maybe if it's even what I'm saying, and Bronn they somehow got this great informant in on Tyrion already, and Tywin just getting all this dirt on him, and it's been working great for the past 2 weeks while they're in camp, and he's like, "This is perfect. I just got to send this to court, and I'm gonna have eyes and ears on everything. If not from Tyrion, if Tyrion's holding out on me, I'm gonna get any dirt on Tyrion from this person." It's just like a win-win. If Tyler was behind it, it's just a win. I mean, I don't know if we ever find out, but win-win.
I guess it's not a huge bet or a gamble to be like, oh, like if it's not Shay, like he'll just find another girl. But like also Tyrion knows what Kingsland is about. Like there's just whores galore, everywhere. Right?
Exactly. So why bring Shay?
Because he likes
her. To screw over your dad. Just
if
to
he says don't bring her. Yeah.
There's one other quote now.
I don't even think Tyrion is like purposely like, you know what, fuck you, I'm taking Shay now. It's just like so ingrained in him that subconsciously by Tywin saying that, he's just gonna he has to.
Like he could have just walked in like Baelish just saying like, all right, come with me.
Anyone. He's a fucking Lannister.
That's true.
Yeah. What do you think about
he likes her, though.
What Tywin says?
Yeah.
What do you think about what Tywin says about the Hound here? You think that's a little foreshadowing?
But I don't even like Tywin's metaphor. He's like, you feed your dog under the table, you don't seat him with you at the high seat. And Luke's my bed.
You've never eaten a meal at the table with Luke. So
it's because he likes raw meat.
You put Luke's food on the ground, just like everybody else.
Luke eats raw meat, though.
You can't put that in a bowl on the table, get him to sit on a chair.
That's fancy.
Yeah, that's fucked up, dude.
That's fancy.
I just think it's foreshadowing. Like you can't trust him. Like he leaves Joffrey in a heartbeat.
But that's true for the Lannisters. But he is dope. He leaves the Lannisters, but he's loyal to like Sansa and Arya.
Kind of
to Sansa, not really to Sansa. Do we have any more points for this chapter or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no. I didn't think it was a very spoilery chapter.
It was really short, right?
Yeah, it was super short. I read it and I was like, oh.
It was like 7 pages, I think.
How many more pages do we have for the next 3 chapters total?
You're asking me to do math now. 772 to 807. 28 plus
26.
36. 36 divided by 3.
13.
Or 12, sorry.
12 pages a chapter, that's not bad.
2 math majors and a math minor.
I correct myself right away. All right, so I think that's all. Guys, if you're listening all the way through here, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any questions. We'll definitely discuss it in our little charade here. But we'll see you on the next episode. For John, the night is dark and full of terrors.
Wow, not even guessing a number?
I've said John 9 like 5 times. I have no idea.
John 9 it is.
It's John 9.
Hey. Let's go! We'll see you on the next episode for John 9. The night is dark and full of terrors.
Signing off.